Hello and welcome. My name is Markus and today I will show you how to create a automated indoor waterfall with automated water treatment. So the four most important things we want to cover when we do automation is we want to avoid calcification, we want to avoid algae and germs. Then we need to clean the water because the water is taking away all the dirt from the air. Actually, an indoor waterfall is like a air washer, but then we have to take out the dirt out of the water. And the fourth thing we need to take care of is the permanent evaporation, which means we want to have the water level refilled automatically. And I will show you this in this example project, which actually is really delivered. So what you can see here is the result. The customer has used my system, and after he has set up the indoor waterfall, then he has covered it like you can see here in the picture. And here's a short video where you can see how beautiful it is when then it's actually running. So the basic principle is that we have here on top, we have the stainless steel overflow channel where we pump the water in. Inside we have a PVC subdistribution in order to get the water on the glass plate evenly distributed so that the water is only on this side and not at the back. The back needs to stay dry. And by the way, you cannot see if you stand in front of it if the water is running on this side or on this side. Many people, they touch the dry side and they wonder why the finger is still dry because the water is at the other side. So means you don't have to cover both sides. It really looks the same from both sides. So after we have the water distributed here on the front, then it goes down to the bottom tank. Here we have a skewed plate to redirect the water so that in order to avoid noise and in order to avoid splashes that would get off the bottom tank. So this plate is redirecting the water. So we have another angle and the splashes stay inside here, and also it makes the water it avoids the noise. So now let's start with the decalcification. So after you turn on the waterfall, you will have a permanent evaporation. So it means that the water level inside the bottom tank, it will sink. So what we have here then, it is a swimming valve. This is this here. And the moment the water is sinking, the swimming valve will refill this bottom tank so that we have a permanent same level water level height. The major point is that we do not refill with normal tap water. We refill with reverse osmosis water. It means that before the house water gets into the bottom tank, it will be filtered by a reverse osmosis, which removes 99 or maybe even 99.5% of the lime and calcification of the water, so that we don't have any lime and calcification inside this bottom tank. Actually, this reverse osmosis, it is like dividing the water. So one part gets super pure. It is almost like distilled water quality. That part goes into the bottom tank through this swimming valve. The other part of that water will be redirected to the drain. It's called like wastewater. It's not dirty water, but it is unfiltered water. So this is why when we have an automated system, we always need a drain, because the reverse osmosis is going to produce wastewater. The other reason why we want to have a drain, actually there are two other reasons. One is the security overflow. So in case this swimming valve would fail, then we would have a permanent filling of this container, which then would lead to water exit the container here or at the top, and then we would get the water damage, what we want to avoid. So before the water would exit the bottom tank, it would exit here through this security overflow and then go into the drain. So that's the second reason why we want to have a drain near a automated waterfall. And the third reason is that we want to be able to empty the whole system by using a emptying valve, which is also connected to the drain. So instead of using a bucket or a vacuum cleaner to remove the water when you want to make a water change, you just open this valve and all the water inside this system will go into the drain. So this would be number one, avoiding calcification, and number two, automated filling of the system. Then what we also need is, because there is going to be dirt here in the water because the waterfall is cleaning the air, therefore we want to avoid algae and germs. And as I said, many people like to touch this, and it would be bad if the water would have a bad quality. So we really need to take care that we don't have algae and that we don't have germs in this system. That's why we use a canister with a water additive and a small metering unit, which will add every day a certain amount of this water additive against algae and germs, so that our water inside here stays safe and clean, and we don't get any algae and we don't get any bioslime. So this is why we need this water additive. And the third thing what we need is a dirt filtering system, and what I like to do is I like to set it up like this. So what you can see here, we have a pump which is mainly for supplying the overflow channel at the top, but we have a T here, a T where we redirect a small amount of water through these two dirt filters. So the first one is a little bit bigger for bigger dirt, and the last one is for the fine dirt. And by doing so, we have a permanent filtering of the water. And what is very important, by the way, here is that you have really a very small amount going through these filters, because once they are clogged because of the dirt, all the water which was supposed to go through here then will be added to the water that goes up here. And if it's a small amount, it won't matter, because you would just see a slightly increased speed of the waves. But if it's too much water which you redirect up here, then you might get splashes, and you might also get water running around the glass plate, because it's simply too much water. And this is why it's important to have this dirt filter down here, only supplied with a very small amount of water in case that it's clogged, in case you forget to change the filter, that we only have a very small amount added to the waterfall itself. So this is basically the setup for an automated indoor waterfall system. There is one more thing which is pretty important, and I would always recommend this. It is a drop collecting trough here in case the reverse osmosis has a leak. And this really can happen because these devices, they're not, unfortunately, not 100% secure, and many of those, even this one, they come with a leak sensor. But in order for the leak sensor to detect the water, you need a collecting area below it. And what I also like to do is I like to put a blue paper here and then put the sensor on it, so that in case the water, it would be a very small amount, the blue paper would suck all the water, and then the sensor would react. So or let's say it like that. If you have such a trough, you don't need a blue paper. But if you don't have such a trough for collecting the water, you would need a blue paper below it, which then will suck all the water which is coming from the leak in order for the sensor to react. So this would be one sensor. The other sensor, what is not in this system, what I would also recommend is to have a second big collecting area, which would stop the pump immediately if anything here gets wet. Because what can happen, it is very rare, but it can happen that somebody, a child puts in a paper, or you have a plant growing over there, and then the water would be redirected from the glass plate, and then the water would exit this system and this area would get wet, and we want to avoid water damage. This is why I would have a second security sensor, and the moment he is detecting water, he would turn off the pump. So it means that the pump, which would be connected to one of these plugs, before it is connected to the plug, there would be the leak sensor detecting device, which then would turn off the pump immediately after there is any water exiting the system. So when you create an automated waterfall, indoor waterfall, I think this is really very important to have these two things, because then you can be relaxed and sleep tight, because you know that if something is exiting your system, you won't have a water damage, because then everything is going to turn itself off. So I hope this helps you understanding how a automated indoor waterfall works. By the way, this is one variation. What I like more, and I will show you this in another video, is to have the pump and the dirt filters in a separate container. This gives you the possibility to keep this container very, very small, and then store all these elements, the filter and the pump, in another container. And it also makes it easier for maintenance, because then these components are easier accessible. And you can do this by having these components at the same level, hidden in a board or hidden in a room behind the indoor waterfall. Or what is also very nice is to have these components, the pump and the whole water treatment, below, for example, in the basement. And there's another advantage if you do this in a basement. Basements are usually a little bit cooler than the rooms above it, and by doing so you would have a slight cooling of your water, because it is circulating with the basement where you have a lower temperature, and by doing so, you would also cool a little bit the water and the room where the indoor waterfall is located. So I would be very glad if you leave your comments, and if you tell me if you have questions about this. And by the way, I have a 20% off summer sale discount on these overflow channels, and also on the indoor waterfall kits. It means that you can get the overflow channel and the bottom tank and the pump as a kit. The only thing what you need is to buy a glass plate, and if you want to automate it, I will also support you with planning and parts. So please check the link below, and I would be glad to make your indoor waterfall come true. Thank you.